everybody, and welcome into the final Before the Sandstorm of the 2021 season. It is the season 1 finale of Before the Sandstorm. I'm Kendall Smith alongside of Wes Mitchell, and we are just one day out from the Duke's Mayo Bowl, South Carolina, taking on North Carolina at 11:30 in the morning in Charlotte, North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium. And Wes, first of all, before we go any further, you have some pretty big plans in store for tomorrow morning in Charlotte. So for all of our Gamecock Central subscribers who will be in the Queen City tomorrow, tell them where the official tailgate spot is.
Yeah, come on to the Dog House. It's kind of like a pop-up bar that is there for every single event or home game for the Panthers normally. But they're going to have a Gamecock Central section there. It's for subscribers, but honestly, if you're a Gamecock fan, just come on by, say what's up. It's not like they're going to be like checking your Gamecock Central ID at the door or anything. So come on by. There's drink specials. There's going to be a food truck out there. Just another great option. I saw there's some other tailgates going on. Great option for you to come by. I'll be there. Hang out. Starts at 9 a.m. Obviously, early start, 11:30 kickoff for this game. But come on by the Dog House. It is right outside the stadium from what I understand. So wherever you park, you should be able to walk there and come hang out with the Gamecock Central crew.
I don't think South Carolina has had like a noon kick since the Tennessee game. It has been over 2 months, so it's kind of crazy to think that tailgating is going to start at like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. But by 9 o'clock, it's only 2.5 hours until the game. So I feel like people should be pretty jazzed. Come on out to the Dog House, see everybody from the GC crew, see Wes, of course. He'll be signing autographs, taking pictures. What more could you want as a late Christmas present? But Wes, so much to get to on this week's edition of Before the Sandstorm. And we kind of have to start off with the obvious. And it's a bummer that we even have to talk about it. But COVID-19 just sweeping over the nation right now with the Omicron variant. Shane Beamer gave an update earlier today in his media day press conference. So tell us what you know about how COVID might be affecting the South Carolina team right now.
Yeah, I think if you look what's going on nationally and in the sports world, we all knew there were probably going to be some new COVID positives with this final round of testing that took place on Tuesday. That was the case. There are some additional guys that are out. I actually understand there may be some guys who were out earlier during the bowl practices. They're going to probably be able to come back. So Carolina, I believe, will get some guys back. Obviously, South Carolina was missing Torian Gray and Justin Stepp from the coaching staff earlier this week. To be completely clear, it was never said that was due to COVID, but they were out. We know that obviously they're still in great standing with the program. It wasn't like they were suspended or anything like that. So everybody can just sort of read through the lines on all that, but those guys are expected back. They're actually back with the team today as we record this on Wednesday. So, it really just sucks for those kids. I think there are several guys that will miss the game now. They had to find out, obviously here pretty late, that they were not going to be able to play on Thursday. And, Beamer was talking about the fact that one of them is a senior walk-on. This would have been actually literally his last game suiting up for South Carolina. He's going to have to miss it there. So you hate it for those kids. Obviously, the great news is that all the guys, are fine. They don't even have symptoms. So as far as their health goes, they're fine. They're going to be fine. But as far as the game goes, South Carolina going to be down some guys. Obviously, we know there's some opt-outs as well that we already know about. There's some suspensions that Beamer didn't go into details about. So there will be some position groups when you see South Carolina run out there and start warming up Thursday morning. They're going to be light on numbers at some spots, but they should be able to play the game. And Gamecocks in North Carolina, barring any last-minute weirdness, are going to be able to get this game in.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, Wes. I think some people might be a little bit traumatized from what happened last night in the Holiday Bowl between NC State and UCLA. That game canceled just a couple of hours before the game was supposed to kick off. So you're pretty confident that things are going to go as planned tomorrow for the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Yeah, as confident as you can be in late 2021. That's the plan. Beamer doesn't believe that the guys being out is going to have any effect on this game. So you can never completely rule out maybe North Carolina has something come up day of or something like that. But yeah, I feel pretty confident that this game is going to take place. North Carolina, imagine you would think they're probably going to be missing some guys as well, but very few details on exactly what that's going to look like on their end.
Well, enough COVID talk here on Before the Sandstorm. Let's go ahead and get into some football talk. We'll kind of start about the biggest challenge that UNC is going to present for this South Carolina team. Wes, what do you think that is, and what do you think South Carolina really needs to prep for in terms of what the Tar Heels have to offer?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, most of this year, we've talked about South Carolina's offense and South Carolina's offensive struggles. But then in this game, and that's probably still something we're going to talk about here in a second, but I look at Sam Howell, the fact that this is his final game in a UNC uniform. You have some really nice symmetry there in that he started his career at Bank of America Stadium against South Carolina. He's going to finish his career at Bank of America Stadium against South Carolina. This kid can throw it around. He's been there. He's seen everything. He's a veteran now. It seems like he just got there in a weird way, but this offense has put up big numbers throughout the time that Sam Howell has been at North Carolina. So I think you look at the loss of J.J. Enagbare from a South Carolina standpoint as far as getting pressure on the opposing quarterback. You look at South Carolina's defensive backfield, how much depth is in that group right now, I'm not sure. So I expect North Carolina to sort of spread South Carolina out, maybe let Sam Howell have a chance to have a big day, against the South Carolina defense that, as we've talked about all year, they've been really solid. They've played above their heads, but if you want to take it back to that other side in the Carolina offense, when the Carolina offense has struggled and not been able to give South Carolina's defense a breather, that's when they've really gotten themselves in trouble this year.
You talk about the South Carolina offense this year. And I think since episode 1 of Before the Sandstorm, all the way back during week 2 when South Carolina played ECU, we talked about the O-line struggles. We talked about South Carolina's offense just not living up to what a lot of people thought it would this year. But Wes, as we are in the final episode of season 1 of Before the Sandstorm, looking back on where we started to where we are right now, what is the biggest improvement you think this South Carolina team has made?
Wow. Wow, you caught me off guard with that one, Kendall. I would have to say, based on improvement compared to what our expectations probably were, I think you got to give some love to Torian Gray, the secondary coach, and just those defensive backs. I mean, you look. Let's think back. Beginning of the year, we were talking about how a transfer All-American in Karan Prunty was going to be a starter in this defensive backfield. And then within a few days, he leaves the program. Cam Smith has been banged up at times. He was probably their best guy back there coming in. And then guess what? Former walk-on Jalen Foster becomes an All-American at safety for South Carolina. Darius Rush, who started his career at wide receiver, has played various positions in his career, has dealt with a lot of injuries in his career, is thrust into a starting spot, and I thought was really one of South Carolina's most solid, consistent performers this year. Outstanding kid, is one of those guys that has just busted his tail behind the scenes for 3 years, and now he gets to see it pay off this year. So I think you got to give some love to everybody in that defensive backfield. They've obviously worked hard. They've bought into what Torian Gray is teaching. Torian Gray is a guy that was kind of the scapegoat for Florida's defensive problems. They basically let him go at Florida. He basically lands on his feet at South Carolina. I think has been an excellent fit. And so huge kudos to him and all those guys in the defensive backfield.
Just a couple of minutes ago, you talked about Sam Howell and what an asset he is to this North Carolina Tar Heel team. On South Carolina's side of the ball, who do you think really needs to shine tomorrow in order for South Carolina to pull the upset over the Tar Heels?
It's a great question. I think if I'm going to go with one individual, I would probably say a guy like Kevin Harris. I mean, you look, we know Zaquandre White is out of this game. He's opted out. Marshawn Lloyd, the open portion of practice this week, didn't seem like he was doing a whole lot. So to me, Kevin Harris, then you throw in, maybe a Juju McDowell backing him up. But this could be Kevin Harris's last game. He has said that he's kind of made his decision. He's not going to reveal what he's going to do next. Most of the people we talk to behind the scenes on Gamecock Central have said, hey, this is probably his last game. So I think Kevin Harris against a North Carolina defense that has struggled for most of the year. If Kevin Harris has one of those, I would say Kevin Harris 2020 season type games where he's breaking off big runs, he goes for 150 plus yards. then all of a sudden, I think that could be the equalizer for South Carolina in this game. If that happens, then there's way less pressure on Zeb Nolan, way less pressure on the South Carolina defense, and everything would sort of maybe fall into place. If that happens, I think it'll be a really good football game on Thursday afternoon.
I don't know if I can take a position group for this specific question, but you mentioned Kevin Harris doing well in tomorrow's game in order for South Carolina to succeed. And obviously with that comes the offensive line. In order for running backs to do well, you've got to have an O-line that's holding steady, keeping their ground. And I think that's a huge aspect of tomorrow's game. And it would be a big reason why South Carolina could pull the win if the offensive line can show up and show out, and then therefore allow their running backs like Kevin Harris, like Juju, to step up and make some big time plays for the offense for South Carolina. But we talked about it a little bit earlier, some players opting out of the bowl game, entering the portal. Jason Brown obviously in the portal right now, so Zeb Nolan taking his spot at quarterback. You've got Kevin Harris kind of taking over Z White's spot as he's not playing in this game. But another player who will not be playing, JJ Enagbare, one of the standout players this season for South Carolina. Who do you kind of look for on the defense, Wes, to take up a position that JJ held that he did such a great job at this year?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Kendall. I would look first and foremost, a guy I'll be looking for actually off the bat to see if he's there would be Jordan Strong. Colin Taylor reported that he did not see him at practice earlier this week. From what I've heard, though, there's a chance he will be available for the game. And if so, I think Jordan Strong is a guy who has quietly, as a backup, had a really solid year for South Carolina at that defensive end sort of edge spot. I think he's got an NFL future at some point. So Strong is a guy who would probably get the start. Jordan Birch could get a start in Enigbare's spot. So those are two guys who will be directly replacing him that I think are very talented kids that have been a little bit lost as far as the spotlight goes because of what Enigbare has done ahead of them. So, yeah, I would say those guys, you obviously you're going to have a kid inside like Jabari Ellis will be playing his last game. He'll want to have a big showing. Zach Pickens will want to have a big showing. But, I look right out there with Strong and Jordan Birch. Could this maybe be that coming out party for either one of those guys going into next season, which I think both of them project to be starters next season, in my opinion. So good opportunity for them. And obviously going back to tie it all together with Sam Howell, the key to slowing him down will be to put some pressure on him.
It has been quite the season for South Carolina. They were projected to win, I think, 3 games at the start of the year. They finished the year at the Duke's Mayo Bowl. In terms of the future, Wes, what makes you most excited about this Gamecock football program?
Well, the fan base has been fired up, in my opinion, since one specific thing happened, and that was the announcement that Spencer Rattler is going to be a Gamecock. So, you know what? I think this game puts a bow on this season, and you don't want to look past this game just because it is the final opportunity for these seniors to suit up and go play, and I don't think we should downplay that. I think it's a great opportunity for these guys to get to practice together, one last time today, for them to get to go on a trip together one last time. 6-6 is just way better for these kids than having to go 5-7 and sit at home for a bowl game. So first and foremost, let's acknowledge that. But yes, Rattler entering the program, it just changes the entire outlook for next season. If Josh Vann comes back, which is right now sort of what we would project, then there's maybe his top target there at receiver that's back. Obviously, Austin Stogner comes in as a projected starter at tight end. So all of a sudden, the offense has some options that maybe were not there before. So I think that gives the fans excitement. I think it helps as South Carolina goes out and maybe tries to add a receiver or two from the transfer portal. There's a couple of guys out there that I think fans are keeping an eye on, rightfully so. So, yeah, I think there's an opportunity to move this offense forward in 2022. And I think that certainly is reason for South Carolina fans to be excited. If Spencer Rattler is suiting up for the Gamecocks in this spring game, it's probably going to be, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the most attended spring game we've seen at South Carolina in a long time.
Well, I am certainly looking forward to spring ball. Don't want to get too far ahead of the game tomorrow. Wes, it has been a season that has been like a Disney movie, especially with the Zeb Nolan story. So I have to ask, before we get out of here, if you had like a small supporting role in the movie, if it was like Wes Mitchell, the reporter for Gamecock Central.
I know where this is going, but I'm not going to have an answer.
Who would play you? And you have to answer, or else we are not finishing this Before the Sandstorm. It will last until the game tomorrow. You have to answer. The fans are dying to know.
All right, I'm gonna blow up my own head here. Like I'm gonna tell you who I would want to play me, and to me it's got to be somebody that's pretty much I can't say that word, but somebody that's pretty awesome. So can we have Keanu Reeves play me?
You know what? I'm not the director. I'm not the casting director, but I think we could put in a special word with Disney, with DreamWorks, and they can make it happen. Your girl,
Okay.
Alyssa Lang, she works for Disney with ESPN, so maybe she can put in a good word for you as well.
Okay, there you go.
We'll see what we can do.
Who would you have play me?
Well, I wouldn't have a part in the movie because I'm an intern. I'm just like
you can be in the movie, Kendall. We're making
like an extra in the background.
No, we're making the movie, so
I would be like sitting in the back of the press conference, like it would be just some random extra. So I could probably play myself because I wouldn't even need to like have some actor play me because I'd just be sitting there.
This is a Gamecock Central production, so we can have whoever we want play.
I have no idea who I would want to play me. I love the show Gossip Girl. You probably don't even know what that is. Do you know Gossip Girl?
I know what that is.
And the girl who plays Blair in that show, Leighton Meester, she's good. Also, Zooey Deschanel. I like her too.
Okay, yeah, I know. I kind of know who both of those are. New Girl, right?
Zoe, New Girl is Zoe, and then Leighton is on some new show on ABC too. So I don't know. Or Haley Dunphy from Modern Family. I forget her name. It's like Sarah something.
Yeah, no, I know you're talking about.
One of those, but I wouldn't be in the movie. I would not. You might be in the movie. Like I could see you having a supporting.
Who was playing Zeb?
Oh man, maybe like Matthew McConaughey, but he's kind of old. So I don't know. I could like see it though with their like personalities.
I don't think they look alike though.
I don't know. Comment down below who would play Zeb Noland in the movie because Zeb would be obviously the main character.
We're going to crowdsource this.
Also, if you have any ideas for who would play Coach Beamer, maybe the guy who's the Ted Lasso star. I could see that. But
yes, I'm terrible with celebrity names, but
we don't know. Comment down below. Let us know. Wes, one last question really quickly before we get out of here. So much to look forward to with Gamecock Central. Just give our subscribers, our viewers, a small taste of, even though, football season is ending, what do they have to look forward to for 2022 at Gamecock Central?
Wow, how long do we have? I think, first of all, I guess we can say this, Kendall. We're probably gonna have a new background maybe behind us. We'll just say it like that. Like we're gonna have a new production value.
Yes,
I believe would be the best way to say it. Lots more NIL interviews, which I'm excited about. You're gonna be able to hear one-on-one with South Carolina football players, basketball players, probably some baseball players. We're gonna hit all the sports. Hopefully Dawn Staley's program at some point, maybe some one-on-ones with some of their players would be our hope. So I don't know if we have time to talk about all the great things that are going to be happening, but I'm excited. And we may have some increased production value on our videos moving forward.
That's all we'll say. We'll kind of leave it on a cliffhanger to end off season 1 of Before the Sandstorm. If you watched all season, if you're just watching today for the first time, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to GamecockCentral.com. You don't want to miss any of the content we have coming out. Wes, I enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next thing that we have in store, and also for the Duke's Mayo Bowl tomorrow, 11:30 a.m., Bank of America Stadium. South Carolina takes on UNC. It will also be on ESPN if you can't make the game in person. I'm Kendall Smith. He's Wes Mitchell for Gamecock Central. We will see you back here soon. Bye, everybody.